Welcome back to the channel. Today, we are going to talk about a topic that can make a huge difference in your career, confidence, and professional life. The topic is how to speak better English at work. Many English learners can speak English in casual situations. They can talk about daily life. They can talk with friends. They can understand simple conversations. But when it comes to speaking English at work, everything feels different. Meetings feel stressful. Presentations feel difficult. Conversations with managers feel intimidating. Even simple workplace discussions can make people nervous. Why? Because workplace English requires clarity, confidence, and professionalism. The good news is that you do not need perfect English to communicate effectively at work. You do not need a huge vocabulary. You do not need a perfect accent. What you need is the ability to communicate clearly and confidently. That is exactly what this video will help you do. In this lesson, you will learn practical tips that can help you sound more professional, communicate more effectively, and feel more confident in workplace situations. And while learning these powerful communication skills, you will also improve your English. Pay attention to the vocabulary. Pay attention to the sentence patterns. Pay attention to how ideas are expressed. The more you listen, the stronger your English becomes. And before we begin, if you enjoy learning English through practical and useful lessons like this, make sure to subscribe to the channel and continue improving your English with us. Tip 1. Speak clearly, not quickly. One of the biggest mistakes English learners make at work is trying to speak too fast. Many learners believe that fast English sounds fluent, so they try to speak quickly. They rush their words. They rush their sentences. They rush their thoughts. But often the result is confusion. People struggle to understand them. Mistakes increase. Confidence decreases. The truth is that professional communication is not about speed. It is about clarity. Think about the best speakers you have ever heard. Most of them do not speak extremely fast. They speak clearly. They pronounce words carefully. They pause when necessary. They make it easy for people to understand them. That is what professional communication looks like. Imagine you are speaking during a meeting. You have an idea to share. You could speak very quickly because you are nervous. Or you could slow down slightly and communicate clearly. The second option is almost always better. At work, understanding matters more than impressing people with speed. Many native speakers actually speak slower during important conversations. Why? Because they want their message to be understood. This is something English learners should remember. Your goal is communication, not speed. Communication. Think about a manager giving instructions. If the manager speaks too quickly and nobody understands, the instructions become useless. If the manager speaks clearly and everyone understands, the communication is successful. The same principle applies to you. One practical technique is to slow your speaking speed by 10%. Not dramatically, just slightly. Give your brain time to think. Give your mouth time to pronounce words properly. Give your listener time to understand. This small adjustment can make a huge difference. Another powerful habit is using pauses. Many learners are afraid of pauses. They think pauses make them sound weak. In reality, pauses often make people sound more confident. A short pause gives you time to think. A short pause helps organize your ideas. A short pause makes your speech easier to follow. Professional speakers use pauses all the time. You can use them too. For example, I reviewed the project yesterday, and I think we should make a few changes. That pause creates clarity. It creates confidence. It creates control. Another reason learners speak too quickly is fear. They are afraid people will notice mistakes. So they rush. Ironically, rushing often creates more mistakes. When you slow down, you gain more control over your language. You choose words more carefully. You pronounce more accurately. You communicate more effectively. Remember that workplace English is different from casual conversation. At work, people care about understanding your message. They do not care how fast you speak. In fact, speaking too quickly can sometimes make you sound less professional. Clear communication builds trust. Clear communication builds credibility. Clear communication builds confidence. A useful exercise is recording yourself. Choose a simple work-related topic. Maybe explain a project. Maybe describe your daily responsibilities. Maybe summarize a meeting. Record yourself speaking. Then listen carefully. Are you rushing? Are your words clear? Can you understand yourself easily? This exercise helps you identify areas for improvement. The more you practice, the more natural clear speaking becomes. Another important point is pronunciation. When speaking at work, focus on pronouncing key words clearly. You do not need a perfect accent. You do not need to sound like a native speaker. You simply need to be understandable. Clarity always matters more than perfection. Many successful professionals around the world speak English with different accents. Yet they communicate effectively because they speak clearly. That should be your goal, not perfection. Clarity. Think about workplace communication as delivering a message. If the message is clear, communication succeeds. If the message is confusing, communication fails. Your speaking speed is much less important than your ability to deliver a clear message. Fast English is not necessarily good English. Clear English is good English. Speak clearly. Speak calmly. Speak confidently. And focus on helping people understand your ideas. Because at work, the people who communicate clearly are often the people who are respected, trusted, and remembered. Tip 2. Learn common workplace phrases. One of the fastest ways to improve your English at work is to learn the phrases people actually use in professional situations. Many learners spend years studying grammar and memorizing vocabulary. But when they enter a workplace conversation, they still feel uncomfortable. Why? Because knowing individual words is not the same as knowing how people communicate in real life. Native speakers often use common phrases again and again. These phrases make communication smoother, faster, and more professional. Think about how often people say things like, "Let's discuss this." "I'll look into it." "Can you clarify that?" "I agree with your point." "I'll get back to you." "Let's move forward." These are not difficult sentences, but they are extremely useful. The more workplace phrases you learn, the easier professional conversations become. Imagine attending a meeting. A colleague asks for your opinion. If you know a few professional phrases, responding becomes much easier. You can say, "In my opinion, we should focus on this solution." "I think this approach could work." "I agree with that idea." That's an interesting point. These expressions help you sound confident and professional. Another benefit is that phrases reduce the amount of thinking you need to do. Instead of creating every sentence from scratch, you can use language patterns that are already familiar. This makes speaking faster and more natural. Think about building a house. Using individual words is like building one brick at a time. Using phrases is like using ready-made sections. The process becomes much easier. One excellent habit is keeping a workplace phrase notebook. Whenever you hear a useful expression, write it down. Practice it, use it, repeat it. The goal is not memorizing hundreds of phrases. The goal is mastering useful ones. Over time, these phrases become part of your natural English. And when they become natural, your confidence grows dramatically. Professional English is not about using complicated words. It is about using the right phrases at the right time. Tip 3. Listen carefully before speaking. Many English learners believe that becoming a better speaker is only about speaking more. Speaking is important, but there's another skill that is equally important: listening. In fact, some of the best communicators in the world are excellent listeners. Why? Because good communication begins with understanding. Imagine you are in a meeting. Someone explains a project. Someone asks a question. Someone shares an idea. If you do not listen carefully, your response may not match the conversation. This creates confusion. Strong professionals listen first, then they speak. Listening carefully gives you several advantages. First, it helps you understand the topic. Second, it gives you time to think. Third, it exposes you to professional English. Every meeting becomes a learning opportunity. You hear useful vocabulary. You hear professional phrases. You hear how experienced people communicate. This is valuable language practice. Many learners become nervous and focus only on what they will say next. As a result, they stop listening. They become so busy preparing their response that they miss important information. Try a different approach. Focus completely on the speaker. Understand the message first, then respond. This simple habit can immediately improve your communication. Another advantage of listening is that it improves your vocabulary naturally. When you repeatedly hear workplace words and expressions, they become familiar. Eventually, you start using them yourself. This is one reason listening is such a powerful teacher. It teaches language in context. Think about a new employee. During their first weeks, they may spend more time listening than speaking. They listen to conversations. They listen to meetings. They listen to instructions. And through listening, they learn how communication works in that environment. You can use the same strategy. Listen actively. Pay attention to how people ask questions. Pay attention to how people give suggestions. Pay attention to how people express disagreement politely. These patterns can improve your own communication. Listening also helps reduce mistakes. When you fully understand a question, you are more likely to give an appropriate answer. When you fully understand a discussion, you are more likely to contribute effectively. This makes you appear more professional and confident. Many people think confidence comes from talking a lot. Real confidence often comes from understanding well. And understanding begins with listening. The best speakers are often the best listeners. Listen carefully. Understand fully. Then speak clearly. Because great workplace communication starts with great listening. Tip 4. Build a professional vocabulary. If you want to speak better English at work, you need more than general English. You need professional English. This does not mean using complicated words. It does not mean trying to sound overly intelligent. It means learning the vocabulary that people actually use in workplace situations. Think about a doctor. A doctor uses vocabulary related to medicine. Think about an engineer. An engineer uses vocabulary related to engineering. Think about a business professional. A business professional uses vocabulary related to projects, meetings, deadlines, goals, performance, and communication. Every profession has its own language. The more familiar you become with that language, the more confident you will feel. Many learners make the mistake of studying random vocabulary. They memorize difficult words they rarely use. As a result, they spend a lot of time learning words that do not help them at work. A better strategy is to focus on workplace vocabulary. Learn words you are likely to hear every day. Words such as project, deadline, meeting, schedule, budget, report, client, feedback, performance, strategy, priority. These words appear repeatedly in many professional environments. The more familiar you become with them, the easier workplace communication becomes. Another powerful method is learning vocabulary in phrases rather than single words. For example, meet a deadline, complete a project, provide feedback, attend a meeting, solve a problem. These combinations are extremely useful because they reflect how English is actually spoken. When you learn vocabulary this way, speaking becomes more natural. You do not have to think about every word individually. You already know common language patterns. Reading workplace emails can also help. Listening to professional conversations can help. Watching business-related videos can help. Every exposure strengthens your understanding. Remember, the goal is not having the biggest vocabulary. The goal is having the most useful vocabulary. Professional vocabulary makes you sound more confident. It helps you understand conversations more easily, and it allows you to communicate your ideas more effectively. The right words can open doors. The more professional vocabulary you learn, the more professional you sound. Tip 5. Think before you speak. One of the easiest ways to sound more professional at work is to think before you speak. Many communication problems happen because people speak before they organize their thoughts. They start talking immediately. They jump from one idea to another. They become unclear. They confuse their listeners. Professional communicators do something different. They pause. They think. Then they speak. This habit may seem simple, but it can dramatically improve your English. Imagine someone asks you a question during a meeting. Many learners feel pressure to answer immediately. Because of nervousness, they start speaking before they know exactly what they want to say. The result is often confusion. Instead, take a moment. A short pause is perfectly acceptable. In fact, it often makes you appear more thoughtful and confident. Use that moment to organize your ideas. Ask yourself, what is my main point? What information is important? What is the clearest way to explain this? Then begin speaking. This simple process makes communication much stronger. Another advantage is that thinking first reduces mistakes. When you slow down mentally, you choose better words. You create clearer sentences. You avoid unnecessary confusion. This is especially important in professional situations where accuracy matters. Think about a manager giving instructions. If the instructions are unclear, misunderstandings occur. Work becomes inefficient. Problems appear. Clear communication prevents these issues. The same principle applies to you. Professional communication is not about speaking the most. It is about communicating clearly. Thinking before speaking also helps you sound more confident. People often assume confident speakers always know exactly what to say. The truth is that many confident speakers simply take time to think before they speak. They do not rush. They do not panic. They remain calm. Then they communicate clearly. You can develop the same habit. Another useful strategy is structuring your response. For example, first, explain the main idea, then provide details, then summarize. This simple structure makes your communication easier to follow. People appreciate clarity, and clarity creates professionalism. Think about workplace presentations. The best presentations are usually well organized. The same principle applies to everyday conversations. Organized thinking creates organized speaking. Many learners focus only on grammar and vocabulary. Those things are important, but clear thinking is equally important. A person with perfect grammar can still communicate poorly if their ideas are disorganized. A person with simple English can communicate effectively if their ideas are clear. This is an important lesson. Communication is not only about language, it is also about structure. The more clearly you think, the more clearly you speak. Do not speak just to fill silence. Speak to communicate value. Think first. Organize your ideas. Then express them clearly. Because professional communication begins with professional thinking. Tip 6. Practice workplace conversations daily. One of the biggest mistakes English learners make is practicing English that they rarely use. They learn random vocabulary. They memorize sentences that do not match their daily life. They study topics they never talk about at work. Then, when a real workplace conversation happens, they struggle to respond. Why? Because they have never practiced those situations before. If you want to speak better English at work, you must practice workplace English regularly. Think about an athlete. Athletes do not prepare for a competition by practicing unrelated activities. They practice the exact skills they need. The same principle applies to English. Practice the conversations you are likely to have at work. Imagine your manager asks, "Can you give me an update on this project?" Would you know how to answer? Imagine a colleague asks, "Can you help me with this task?" Would you feel comfortable responding? Imagine you need to explain a problem to a customer. Would you have the language you need? These are the situations you should practice. A powerful method is role-playing. Pretend you are in a meeting. Pretend you are talking to a manager. Pretend you are speaking with a client. Create simple workplace scenarios and practice them aloud. At first, it may feel strange. That is normal. But every practice session strengthens your confidence. You can also practice common workplace topics. Talk about your responsibilities. Talk about your projects. Talk about your schedule. Talk about your goals. Talk about challenges you face at work. The more familiar these topics become, the easier real conversations will feel. Another useful technique is recording yourself. Choose a workplace situation. Speak for 1 or 2 minutes, then listen to the recording. Notice your strengths. Notice areas that need improvement. This simple exercise can dramatically improve your speaking. The key is repetition. The more often you practice workplace conversations, the more natural they become. When a real conversation happens, it no longer feels unfamiliar. Your brain recognizes the situation. Your vocabulary becomes available. Your confidence increases. Many people wait until they are at work to practice workplace English. Successful learners practice before they need it. That preparation gives them an advantage. Confidence at work is often created before the conversation begins. Practice regularly, and workplace English will become easier every day. Tip 7. Ask questions with confidence. Many English learners are afraid to ask questions. They worry about making mistakes. They worry about sounding foolish. They worry about what other people might think. As a result, they stay silent. This can create problems. At work, asking questions is not a sign of weakness. It is a sign of professionalism. Strong professionals ask questions because they want clarity. They want accuracy. They want understanding. Imagine receiving instructions for an important task. You do not fully understand what is expected. You have two choices. You can stay silent and guess, or you can ask a question. Which option is better? Almost always asking the question. A simple question can prevent mistakes. A simple question can save time. A simple question can improve results. This is why asking questions is such an important workplace skill. Many learners think they need perfect English before asking questions. That is not true. Simple English is often enough. For example, could you explain that again, please? Can you give me an example? What do you mean by that? Could you clarify this point? These questions are simple, professional, and extremely useful. Another benefit of asking questions is that it improves your English. Every question creates a conversation. Every conversation creates learning opportunities. You hear new vocabulary. You hear new sentence patterns. You hear professional expressions. This exposure helps your language grow. Think about the most successful learners. They are often curious people. They ask questions. They seek understanding. They are not afraid to learn. Curiosity is a powerful advantage. Another reason questions are important is that they show engagement. When you ask thoughtful questions, people see that you care. They see that you are paying attention. They see that you want to contribute. This creates a positive impression. Many professionals respect people who ask good questions. Remember, nobody knows everything. Even experienced professionals ask questions. Even managers ask questions. Even experts ask questions. Learning never stops. The goal is not to know everything. The goal is to keep learning. If you are unsure about something, ask. If you need clarification, ask. If you want to understand better, ask. Do not let fear prevent you from learning. Every question is an opportunity. Every answer is a lesson. And every lesson helps you grow. The person who asks questions learns faster than the person who stays silent. Be curious. Be confident. And never be afraid to ask for clarity. Because understanding is always more valuable than pretending to understand. Tip 8. Improve a little every day. The final tip may sound simple, but it is one of the most powerful lessons you will ever learn. Improve a little every day. Many English learners make the mistake of focusing only on big results. They want to become fluent quickly. They want perfect pronunciation immediately. They want confidence overnight. And when those things do not happen, they become frustrated. They feel discouraged. Sometimes they even quit. The problem is that they are focusing on the destination instead of the journey. The truth is that English fluency is not built in one day. It is built one small improvement at a time. Think about a staircase. You do not reach the top with one giant step. You reach the top by taking many small steps. English works exactly the same way. Every new word you learn is progress. Every article you read is progress. Every conversation you have is progress. Every mistake you learn from is progress. These small improvements may seem insignificant, but over time, they become powerful. Imagine improving just 1% every day. That does not sound like much. Most people would ignore it. But small improvements accumulate. Day after day, week after week, month after month. Eventually, those small improvements create remarkable results. Many successful professionals understand this principle. They do not try to become experts overnight. They focus on continuous improvement. They ask themselves, what can I learn today? What skill can I improve today? What mistake can I correct today? These questions keep them moving forward. You can use the same approach with English. Instead of worrying about becoming fluent immediately, focus on today's improvement. Learn one new phrase. Practice one conversation. Read one page. Listen to one podcast. Improve one small thing. That is enough. Another important lesson is patience. Many learners underestimate how long meaningful growth takes. When progress feels slow, they assume nothing is happening. But growth is often invisible at first. Think about planting a tree. You water it today, tomorrow it looks almost the same. A week later, the change is still small. But if you continue caring for it, growth eventually becomes obvious. English learning follows the same pattern. The effort you make today may not show immediate results, but it is building your future ability. Every practice session matters. Every study session matters. Every attempt matters. Even when you cannot see the results yet. The learner who improves a little every day often becomes far more successful than the learner who studies intensely for a few days and then quits. Consistency beats intensity. Small daily actions beat occasional bursts of effort. This is one of the most important workplace lessons as well. Employers value people who consistently improve. Colleagues respect people who continuously learn. Managers notice people who steadily develop their skills. Growth creates opportunities, and continuous growth creates long-term success. You do not need to become perfect today. You only need to become a little better than yesterday. Do that consistently, and your future will look completely different. Today, we learned something extremely important. Speaking better English at work is not about having perfect grammar. It is not about having a perfect accent. And it is not about knowing every word in the dictionary. It is about communicating clearly, confidently, and professionally. We learn the importance of speaking clearly instead of speaking quickly. We learned how workplace phrases can make communication easier and more natural. We discovered the value of listening carefully before speaking. We talked about building a professional vocabulary that matches real workplace situations. We learned why thinking before speaking creates stronger communication. We explored the importance of practicing workplace conversations regularly. We saw how asking questions with confidence can improve both communication and learning. And finally, we learned the power of improving a little every day. All of these tips may seem simple, but simple actions repeated consistently can transform your English. Imagine where your English could be 1 year from now if you applied these lessons every day. Imagine walking into meetings with confidence. Imagine speaking clearly with colleagues. Imagine expressing your ideas without fear. Imagine understanding conversations more easily. Imagine feeling comfortable using English at work. That future is possible. Not because of talent, not because of luck, but because of practice. Remember, every professional English speaker was once a learner. Every confident communicator was once nervous. Every skilled speaker once struggled. The difference is that they continued. They kept learning. They kept practicing. They kept improving. And you can do the same. Do not be afraid of mistakes. Mistakes are part of learning. Do not be discouraged by slow progress. Progress is still progress. Do not compare yourself to others. Focus on becoming better than you were yesterday. Because success in English is not about perfection. It is about persistence. Keep listening. Keep reading. Keep speaking. Keep learning. And most importantly, keep believing in yourself. Your workplace English can improve. Your confidence can grow. Your communication skills can become stronger. And the opportunities that come from strong communication can change your career and your life. Thank you for spending this time learning with me today. If you enjoyed this lesson and want more practical English tips that help you communicate confidently in real-life situations, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Keep practicing, keep improving, and keep moving forward. I will see you in the next lesson.